Am I an idiot? For exposing my cheating partner at our wedding and walking out? Hi, welcome to Sarov Stories. Like and subscribe to our channel for daily stories. First and foremost, I want to preface this post by saying that this is a deeply personal and emotional story for me, but I genuinely want to know if I was in the wrong in this situation. Here's what happened. I, 28F, had been dating my partner, 29M, for 7 years, and we recently got engaged. Our relationship had its ups and downs, but I genuinely believed we were building a life together. We had planned our dream wedding, and I was excited to start this new chapter of our lives. About a week before our wedding, I stumbled upon undeniable evidence of my partner's infidelity. It was devastating. The person I loved and trusted had betrayed me in the worst possible way. I was heartbroken, angry, and confused all at once. I confronted my partner, who initially denied everything but eventually admitted to the affair. As the days went by, I found myself torn between two options. On one hand, I could call off the wedding and end the relationship. On the other hand, I could expose my partner's infidelity to our families, friends, and guests at the wedding. This was an incredibly difficult decision to make, and I spent countless sleepless nights pondering the consequences. Ultimately, I decided to go through with the wedding as planned, but I also made up my mind to reveal the truth during the ceremony. I felt it was essential for everyone to know the kind of person my partner truly was. It wasn't about revenge, it was about honesty and protecting others from potential pain in the future. As the ceremony began, I took a deep breath and gathered my strength. When it was time for the vows, I deviated from the script. I calmly and eloquently shared the truth about my partner's infidelity, explaining how I had discovered the betrayal just days before. The guests were stunned, and a wave of shock washed over the room. My partner turned pale and remained silent. After revealing the truth, I thanked our guests for being a part of our lives but expressed that I could not continue with the wedding under these circumstances. With that, I walked out of the venue, leaving my partner, our families, and friends in complete disbelief. It was undoubtedly a dramatic exit, but it felt like the only way for me to find closure and begin the healing process. Since that day, I have been bombarded with various reactions. Some people applauded me for my bravery and honesty, while others accused me of ruining what should have been a joyful event. Many have criticized me for potentially embarrassing my partner and our families publicly. I've questioned my actions repeatedly and wondered if I should have handled things differently. I'm turning to you, to gain some perspective. Was it wrong for me to expose my partner's infidelity at our wedding and walk out? Should I have chosen a more private setting to address the issue? I genuinely want to know if I handled this situation inappropriately or if my actions were justified given the circumstances. Am I an idiot? For ruining my siblings' surprise party after they stole my inheritance? Throwaway account for obvious reasons. I, 30F, recently found myself in a situation that has left me feeling conflicted and wondering if I may have crossed a line. My older sibling, 34M, recently threw a surprise party for our parents' anniversary, and I ended up ruining it after discovering that my sibling had stolen a significant portion of my inheritance. Now I'm wondering if I may have overreacted. To give you some background, our parents passed away a few years ago, and they left behind a considerable inheritance for both me and my sibling. It was a substantial amount of money that was meant to help us in our future endeavors and provide financial security. However, I recently stumbled upon some bank statements that revealed my sibling had been siphoning off a significant portion of my share without my knowledge. I was shocked and hurt beyond belief. How could my own flesh and blood betray me in such a manner? I confronted my sibling, who admitted to taking the money but brushed it off as if it were no big deal. They claimed they needed it more than I did and that they would eventually pay me back. However, I couldn't accept such an excuse. It wasn't their decision to make, and they had no right to take what was rightfully mine. Fast forward to the surprise party. I was torn between two conflicting emotions, the desire to confront my sibling publicly and the guilt of potentially ruining a special moment for our parents. In the end, my anger got the better of me, and I couldn't keep quiet any longer. As the party was in full swing, I stood up and demanded everyone's attention. I then proceeded to spill the beans about my sibling's theft, shocking everyone in attendance. My sibling was mortified, and our parents were devastated. The room fell into an awkward silence, and the atmosphere was thick with tension. Looking back, I can't help but wonder if I acted impulsively and without considering the consequences. I understand that ruining a surprise party is a big deal, especially for something as special as our parents' anniversary. But at the same time, I couldn't stand the thought of my sibling getting away with stealing from me and pretending like everything was fine. Now, the aftermath of my actions has been incredibly difficult to deal with. Our parents are heartbroken, and the family dynamic has been shattered. My sibling and I are barely on speaking terms, and the rest of the family is caught in the middle, trying to make sense of the whole situation. So, am I an idiot? For ruining my siblings' surprise party after they stole my inheritance? Was it worth exposing their actions, even if it meant tarnishing a special occasion for our parents? I'm filled with guilt and regret, but I also feel like I needed to take a stand against the betrayal. Am I an idiot? For slashing my neighbor's tires after they parked in my spot? Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today, I want to share a recent incident that happened with my neighbor and me, and I genuinely need your perspective on whether I was in the wrong or not. Please bear with me as I explain the situation in detail. For some context, I live in an apartment complex where each resident is assigned a specific parking spot. Now, I understand that parking can be a sensitive issue, especially in densely populated areas, and it's important to respect designated spots to avoid any inconvenience or disputes. Unfortunately, my neighbor seems to have a different interpretation of this basic courtesy. Over the past few months, my neighbor has repeatedly been parking their car in my assigned spot. Initially, I tried to handle the situation calmly and politely. I left a friendly note on their windshield, kindly reminding them that they were parked in my spot and requesting them not to do it again. I thought this would solve the problem, as most people would acknowledge their mistake and avoid repeating it. However, this neighbor seemed to have a different attitude altogether. Despite my attempts to communicate and resolve the issue amicably, they continued to park in my spot on a regular basis. Each time it happened, I had to search for an alternative parking space, which was often inconvenient and time-consuming. The frustration started building up, and I couldn't help but feel disrespected by their constant disregard for my assigned parking spot. After numerous failed attempts to reason with him, I decided to take matters into my own hands, quite literally. One day, after finding my spot occupied again, I lost my temper and, admittedly, made a regrettable decision. I ended up slashing their car tires out of frustration and as a way to send a clear message that their actions were unacceptable. Now, before you jump to conclusions, I want to acknowledge that my actions were extreme and uncalled for. Vandalism is never an appropriate solution to any problem, and I fully recognize that. In hindsight, I should have taken a more peaceful and lawful approach, such as involving the apartment management or contacting the authorities. However, in that heated moment, I let my anger get the best of me, and I acted impulsively. It was a serious lapse in judgment, and I genuinely regret my actions. I understand that my neighbor must have been inconvenienced and upset by the damage caused to their vehicle, and I take full responsibility for that. Am I an idiot? For slashing my neighbor's tires after they constantly parked in my spot? I'm prepared to face the consequences of my actions, but I genuinely seek your honest opinions and any advice on how to handle such a situation better in the future.